All right, so we got how did each Primarch spend their childhood? Let's get to it. Let's go, man. Make sure you guys follow my Twitch down below. And let's go.
G'day guys and gal. It's hard to think of the Primarchs as children. They are big-ass demigods wielding otherworldly power with the will to reshape the galaxy, forged by the greatest mind to ever live. But they didn't just pop out as fully grown war gods. They started as babies, had extremely brief childhoods due to their accelerated growth, and then the rest is history. But despite the briefness of their childhoods, they were still quite interesting because it was the only time a Primarch was truly vulnerable, and that is worth talking about. Also, if you
wait, didn't they all like whenever like the emperor whenever he went crazy and just created like 20 babies or whatever, like using a warp, didn't he hit all of them and then like they all just spread it across like the whole universe like ball pins? Like didn't they all just splatter everywhere? Didn't that happen? Didn't he just pick up one and was like, let me see, let me throw you over there. Oh, you cool. Let me roll you over here. I'm gonna throw you later. He picked up another one. He was like, all right. Well, you ugly. Just Tom Brady, the Aaron Rodgers it. Like, bro, like, didn't he just do that? Like, didn't he just splatter all of them just like in like all like directions or whatever?
Like this
Didn't
video's
he do
thumbnail, that being the lion fighting a lion, I had it custom commissioned just for this video. So make sure you like the video to justify the impracticality of commissioning dope-ass artwork to use as a thumbnail. Before we get started, the best part of what I do is the fact that even though I talk about Warhammer lore, I'm still able to have a positive impact on some people's lives. My favorite DMs are from people who send me before and afters of them losing weight and putting on muscle because they were inspired by me. It's a nice feeling. So I'm going to extend that vibe out again today with the help of today's sponsor, baby. With all that in mind, there's literally no reason to not at least try it, especially since using my link and code POGMAJORJUL50, you'll get 50% off your first box.
I have to go
and
get
free
some lotion
shipping.
for my
To
hands.
add even more spice to the pot, I actually get a very juicy commission off each box that you guys order, so it's literally wins all round for me, you, and HelloFresh. Cheers to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over how each Primarch spent their brief but important childhoods to understand why they ended up like they did. Let's get into it. The lion's childhood was more difficult than most Primarchs. His landing capsule smashed into the middle of bumfuck nowhere, deep in the forest of Caliban, where many chaos-corrupted monsters lurked. Lil Tarzan didn't let this stop him though, as his hunter's instinct kicked in. Although he spent the first little while hiding, it wasn't long until he began hunting the beasts.
Here's another thing. Here's what I noticed, right? A lot of here's the thing. All the Primarchs, whatever, like they're tough or whatever. But here's the thing. What I noticed is a lot of Primarchs that landed in like harsher conditions or like on like just terrible Idaho looking planets or whatever. They usually they became the strongest, if that makes sense, because like once you have like a not a bad background, but once you have like a rough growing up, whatever, you kind of like become like mentally tough at like a young age. So like you kind of grow up. Like you grow up with that like that toughness and that grit and that strength. You get what I'm saying? So
killing them with his bare hands.
Obviously Vulcan and and the lion. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna give props to the lion and all these other guys as well. Props to them. But obviously, bro, Vulcan, bro, man, he came down, bro. He was already built like LeBron James at like 3 years old. He's just the GOAT,
It's the thumbnail. The lion managed to survive like this for some time before being discovered by Luther during one of his legendary nightly quests into the forest. They saw that despite the dirt, grit, and savagery, there was a noble, intelligent child before them, hence they took him in. Within a short span, the lion had mastered the local language and was able to shake off most of the worst habits he had gained. He never lost the beast within him though, a beast he has used to great effect on multiple occasions, but his nightly training allows him to tame it and keep it caged. It's a huge testament to the lion's will that despite spending his childhood surrounded by chaos beasts, he not only survived, but was also not corrupted himself.
Yo, I wonder if they'll ever make like a movie on like somebody, like, not some of them, because that would be like, I mean, they can if they want, but I wonder if they ever make like a movie about like some of these like, Primarchs like growing up or whatever. So like, I'm gonna be honest with you, even though like you guys know, bro, I'm full, Vulcan or whatever. I will say a lion movie, like a Warhammer, lion movie, bro, would be hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. Of like him, crash landing or whatever, him, running to like some of these like, beasts or whatever, just going crazy, just going absolutely haywire. and then like him growing up and finding like different like, you know, powerful people, whatever. I think that would be pretty cool. I'm gonna be honest with you. That'd be hard.
There is a strong correlation between Primarchs with bad childhoods and Primarchs that go traitor, but the lion breaks this mold. The second Primarch's childhood is about as interesting as shoving a pencil down your dick hole. I just don't really know. Fulgrim's childhood was like—
Why would you say that? Now you just made me imagine that. Oh my goodness gracious Lord. Oh my God, bro, I just covered my space. When he said that, man, I instantly just clenched, instantly just covered it. Why would you say something like that?
A little arcade game for him. He crash-landed on a dying world where everyone worked, everything was scarce, and there was no time for the finer things. Initially, the people that found him thought about killing him due to lack of resources. However, his beauty and Primarch aura prevented them, hence they adopted him instead.
Yo, they was like, man, this nigga right here is too cute. We can't kill him. We can't kill him. Man, he's too handsome. You know what, man? You know, maybe we, you know, no, put the weapons down, fellas. Put the weapons down, man. He's adorable. Put the weapons down.
He was shown love, but with the world on the brink of ecological collapse, he put his fierce intelligence, even as a child, to improving the world's systems, machinery, and techniques.
Really?
Allowing the world to go from a wasteland to a paradise. With how efficient everything became, it allowed time for Fulgrim to bring the arts back to the world and enjoy them with his people. But by that point, he was no longer a child. Overall, his childhood was spent on the grind, preventing his world from collapsing. Perturabo's childhood was fucking whack. He came into consciousness halfway up a mountain. He didn't know how he got there, but he knew that he must climb to the top. He finished the climb, where he was then taken to see one of the lords of the planet, who would go on to adopt Perturabo. But wait a fucking minute, Majorkill. How did Perty come into consciousness halfway up a mountain? Well, it seems that before that, he landed in the wilderness, wandered around for a year, killed some bears and shit, before then deciding to climb a mountain, and it was halfway up this mountain when his brain aged enough to become self-aware.
Bro, how big is the damn mountain? Bro climbed a mountain and his brain aged, and he grew up. Bro grew up mid-climb. How big is the mountain?
A bit like your first memory. The Lord was very impressed with Perturabo, with Perty spending the rest of his childhood excelling in science, engineering, combat, politicking, and more. The Khan's initial childhood was quite wholesome, as he was found and adopted by a wise Khan, who wished for there to be peace amongst the warring tribes. Jagadai was shown a lot of love and was taught a lot, but soon after his father was killed in a raid by a rival Khan. In a rage, a young Jagadai gathered his tribe's warriors and obliterated the rival tribe, killing every man, woman, and child.
Okay, 2 seconds later, I promise you, 2 seconds, I was about to like pause the video and be like, you know what? That's understandable. That's understandable. Hey, he spun the block. They killed this man. They killed this guy. He spun the block. They took out everybody. I'm not thinking, you know, the women, you know, in the Sour Patch Kids. I'm not thinking that. he took out everybody. The men, the women, the Sour Patch Kids, even the horses, gone, eliminated, be eliminated. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's a little harsh, but I understand why. And he was young too. Now listen, that's not an excuse, but at the same time, I would assume that like a young person that just crashes out would do something like that. I mean, maybe he didn't have to do that to the women and the Sour Patch Kids. Maybe the men or whatever. Yo, is my light tripping? But yeah, maybe to like the men or whatever, but like to the women and the Sour Patch Kids, I don't really think they had anything to do with it.
Full Anakin style. He vowed to end the tribal wars and unite his world, either through diplomacy or violence. So overall, a good childhood that rapidly ate shit after his adoptive father was killed. Fenris is, to put it gently, a massive shithole. It's one of the most grim death worlds in the entire Imperium, so a great spot for Leman Russ to land. He was found and adopted by a wolf and her pack, which goes a long way to explaining his obsession with wolves. Alongside the pack, he would raid Fenrisian villages, which caused a large hunting party of humans to track down and attack his pack. His wolf mama was killed, however Leman was able to protect 2 of his wolf brothers before the fighting stopped, and he was taken to see the local king. The king was impressed with Leman, seeing him in a similar way that Luther saw the lion. Within a short span of time, Leman mastered the language, the weapons of war, and the culture of Fenris, leading his tribe to victory after victory as they conquered the entire planet. When his king/adoptive father died, Leman took control of Fenris, but by this point he was no longer really a child. Overall, he spent his youth as an adoptive wolf and then learning how to not be a wolf. Rogal Dorn had less of a spicy survival youth compared to some of his brothers. He was quickly found and adopted by the leader of House Dorn, which meant he received a structured, educated youth, where he was taught everything the people of Inuit knew. As Inuit was a pretty brutal place, I'm sure Rogal spent some time on the ice, testing himself and taking on its predators, but this would have been more so for sport and education than actual survival. He enjoyed his childhood so much that when his adoptive grandfather passed away, Dorn kept his cloak and slept with it every night for comfort.
Yo, can I be honest with you? Maybe this is just me. Obviously, you guys know, man, you know, Vulcan's my #1. But like, bro, is it me or does he looks like a leader? I don't even know how to describe it. He looks like a leader. He looks like a strong, like, leader. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to, you know, no glaze or nothing. I'm just, you know, giving the guy a compliment. He got the nice jawline. You know, he got the big, he built like a linebacker from the Chicago Bears. Like, he just, I don't know. He just, you know, like,
no wonder why Rogal was such a loyalist with that kind of wholesome upbringing. On the flip side of wholesomeness, we have Conrad Curse's extremely shitty childhood. Straight up, his capsule plunged deep within Nostromo's crust, meaning he had to crawl his way through jagged rock and—
Man, I don't care what he had to crawl. Man, I don't care. Listen, I don't care.
Magma as a literal toddler as his first conscious act. From there, things got worse as the world he crawled into was full of murderers and rapists. Conrad learnt to hide and stick to the shadows, stealing and scavenging to—
Alright, okay. Maybe, okay. We'll feel bad. Listen, we'll give him some sympathy. How about that? Okay, when he was young, he had to climb through the volcanoes and, you know, okay. But what about when he was older, though? What did he do to my Vulcan? Like,
survive with no one to trust and no one to take care of him. As soon as he was grown enough to reliably kill anyone on Nostromo, he changed role from prey to the predator, beginning his reign of terror as the Night Haunter. But his entire childhood was spent in the shitter, which goes a long way to explain him being such a massive asshole. Surprisingly, considering how great Sanguinius is, he didn't really have the best childhood. He's just fucking great because he's Sanguinius. He landed in the irradiated wastelands of—
The glaze is crazy. Imagine glazing like a Warhammer character. I could never. Genuinely, I can never.
Bal, where his first notable—
Hey, and you won't even find like a clip of me even ever glazing like a Warzone character. Like, bro, glazing a Warzone character, bro, that's like second to none of just down badness. Like,
act as a toddler was to kill a fire scorpion, a deadly Bal predator. From there, he was found and adopted by one of the only
Sanguinius, he's not even like that. Like, he's not even like—
As a youth, he was able to lead his people against the large mutant hordes, cleansing it and reclaiming the world for mankind. Or at least the mankind that wasn't a bunch of psychotic, cancer-ridden mutants. Not the most spicy childhood, but considering he was seen as a literal god messiah by his adoptive people, he is very humble.
Okay, first of all, he wasn't even like— Yo, they was like, yo, oh my God, he got the wings. Oh, he got the wings. He got the barbecue wings. Oh snap, he's so special. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, to be honest with you, like come on, man. Like, it's not even that special for real. Like,
Ferrus Manus lacked a good childhood and he isn't mad about it. What he was mad about was the fact that his landing on Medusa freed a mechanical beast that he was unable to kill. Most likely a Necron construct, so he vowed to keep himself isolated from the planet's population until he fulfilled his vow and destroyed the beast. People knew of him as a legend that would take on the greatest challenges on the planet, be it monsters or physical tests, until he was finally able to destroy the beast, absorbing a fair bit of its material into himself in the process, thus his silver eyes and living metal arms. By this point though, he had grown to a man, with his childhood spent by himself, fighting monsters. Probably explains why he's such a hothead. He literally never had a mentor or teacher until the Emperor arrived. The 11th Primarch didn't have a childhood as he was aborted. The only Primarch that could contest Conrad for Shittiest Childhood of the Year award is Angron. Upon landing on Nuceria, he was ambushed by an Eldar kill squad. The toddler Angron was able to kill the Eldar.
His like childhood, whatever, is very depressing. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, very depressing. Nuts, but he suffered a lot of wounds in return. He was so wounded, in fact, that he was easy pickings for the local humans to capture him and bring him to the High Riders. Unfortunately, the High Riders didn't see a talented youth who they could adopt and raise up. Instead, they saw a vicious child, covered in wounds and blood, who had just taken out an alien kill team. They saw a warrior, a new legend for their arenas. If it wasn't for the Eldar attack, Angron probably would have been able to beat the Slavers, or at the very least, get adopted by the High Riders. Angron would spend the rest of his childhood in the arena, fighting other slaves until he was forcibly violated with the butcher's nails. Fucking grim.
Yeah.
At the literal polar opposite end of the spectrum, Guilliman's childhood was extremely good. He was found and adopted by one of the ruling families of the McCrag, who showed him love, attention, and taught him—
Man, bro, y'all, this man right here, bro, he had Thanksgiving dinners every night, bro. Thanksgiving dinners every night, bro. This man was well fed and everything. Now, is that his fault? No. I mean, because, like, imagine, like, being mad at, like, a kid, whatever, for, like, being born into, like, you know, wealth, or being born into, like, you know, in a good home. Like you should never be ever, you shouldn't even be mad to begin with, but you should never even be, like, if you're gonna be mad, you shouldn't even be mad at the kid. Like, that's so weird how, like, I'm talking about, like, real life, bro. You ever think about, like, people in real life, they be like, oh my God, well, you were born into, you know, wealth or whatever. You were born with the silver spoon, with the golden spoon. Okay. It's not his fault. He didn't, you know, he didn't knock on his mom's stomach one day and was like, yo, I'm coming through. Yo, you got 8 months. You got 9 months. Get ready. Like, he didn't say that. Bro, things happen, and then he was born. Simple as that. What are we talking about? Like, I'm so sick of people getting mad at, like, people, you know, for having, like, you know, for being born into good situations, or in a good family with money or whatever. Bro, they didn't wish to be born, bro. They were just born. It happens. What are we talking about? Like, I just don't like that. But I was talking about real life. In this instance, bro, man, this man had Thanksgiving dinners every night, bro. Well fed. This man had his own gym and everything, bro. This man was born into the kingdoms of all kingdoms.
how to be a good man and a good ruler. It was probably the most functional and fulfilling childhood out of all the Primarchs, bar maybe Magnus or Rogal. At age 10, he was given command of his own army, which he used to effectively—
Hey, 10 years old and you commanding your own army is crazy. 10 years old and you commanding your own army is absolutely crazy.
wipe out the savages and raiders in the forests. Funnily enough, Khorne, Guilliman's father, received a vision of the Emperor showing him where to find Guilliman, so there's a good chance the Emperor directly intervened to ensure G-Man had a good childhood, as opposed to him being found by the forest raiders, who would have in turn turned him into a weapon against civilization. This was one of the few instances of the Emperor's direct intervention of his Primarch's childhoods. If only he did that for Conrad. Back to shitty childhoods, we have Mortarion, who was found by a tyrannical psychic necromancer. Although Morty was adopted and trained by this man, it was not a good childhood. The lessons were grim, with Morty being forced to use dark war powers, as well as being forced to live in and endure the poisonous gases of his homeworld. Sick of his Necro-Daddy shit, Mortarion broke free and went into the valley, killing Necro-Daddy zombies as well as some of the other psychic tyrants on the world. It was here the young Mortarion became a hero to the untainted humans, spending the rest of his childhood protecting them before he was grown enough to start hunting down the vicious tyrants of the world. Honestly seems like quite the hero's origin story. Shame he became a smelly moth. Magnus had a great childhood, landing in the middle of the main plaza and prosperous capital. He was found and raised by wise Psykers who tutored him in the arcane arts and took care of him. In turn, Magnus was able to learn extremely quickly.
Yo, this Emperor basically, he basically just gave his kids just babysitters, basically. He's like, yo, you go over there, you go over there, you go over there, y'all all just gonna have, like, even though I'm your dad, like, don't get it twisted, I'm your father, but at the end of the day, bro, I'm gonna give you a mom and I'm gonna give you a dad. I'm your father, though, but I'm gonna give you a dad,
stripping the greatest Psykers of Prospero within a very short span of time. Magnus was unique in that he remembered his entire childhood, from literal creation onwards, and he was able to psychically commune with the Emperor.
Wait, he remembered him coming out the womb?
While he was still in his gestation capsule. So Magnus was very aware of his nature and who his father was. Overall, his vast knowledge ended up making him incredibly arrogant with his use of the warp, something that would fuck him pretty hard in the ass later on. Horus's childhood is a bit confusing. We know he landed on Chthoniya and then he was adopted by a gang and did gang shit, but it wasn't long until he became aware of his Primarchness and travelled back to Terra, meaning he was actually with the Emperor as he went from child to adult, thus explaining a lot about their close relationship.
Oh, so he was like a little teenager. As the Florida guys would say, he was a little jit. Okay. So wait, wow. Yo, that must have been tough. Imagine, like, you know, you see like your kid growing up or whatever, like you're the Emperor, you see a kid growing up, and then like years later, you gotta, like, you know, you gotta put him down. GG's.
Since Chthoniya and Terra are close together, this isn't that difficult to imagine. With Horus spending very little time on Chthoniya, he actually had to force himself to speak with a Chthonian gang accent to relate to his Chthonian-born Space Marines better. Some of them could even tell the accent was fake. Lorgar's childhood was pretty grim. He was found by Corferon, a hyper-religious, cruel man, who then proceeded to abuse the shit out of Lorgar, beating him regularly and constantly insulting and demeaning him. It's actually a huge testament to Lorgar that he was a good bloke until Chaos got involved, considering how fucked up his childhood was. GW's greatest crime is that Corferon is still alive in the setting. At least Erebus is a good villain. You love to hate Erebus. With Corferon, you just want him to fucking die.
Oh, wow.
Brutally. Come on, GW, just do it. Vulcan had a nice childhood, which makes sense. The dude is a saint.
Come on, man. Like, come on, yo.
He's also one of the most humble, as he was not adopted by a king or warlord, but by a simple blacksmith.
In the trenches, bro. He was really raised in the trench. I don't even think, people don't even know. He was really raised in the middle of O-Block. See, that's what happens. When you raised in the hood, when you raised in the trenches, you don't got nothing, and you got to work for what you got. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Of course he gonna grow with that humbleness, bro. He didn't have nothing.
Sure, he quickly became a legend in his small town for his skill with blacksmithing and his growth, but it was nothing crazy.
Facts.
After a short while, Vulcan had mastered blacksmithing and then begun inventing new techniques that he taught to his town. However, it would be during a dark...
He put everybody on game. He said, man, I'm really better than y'all, but I'm gonna still put you guys on game though.
Eldar raid that Vulcan would go from boy to man. Vulcan stood firm against the raid, inspiring his people to do the same as they crushed the Dark Eldar raiders and cemented Vulcan's legacy as a savior. By this point though, he had grown out of his childhood. Overall, a pretty humble beginning, which goes a long way to explain how he turned out.
Yes,
Corvus
sir.
was a bit of a beast from day one. The first thing he did when he landed on his world was kill a guard that was beating a little girl. He was adopted by the world's slaves, who decided that they needed to keep this special child hidden from them.
Now, usually, you know, I every time he pops up on the screen, I'll be like, turn around and die, because, you know, he's going through his phase right now. But to be honest with you, that's actually cool to hear.
Overlords until the time where he was strong enough to lead them to freedom. Corvus spent his childhood practicing his stealth, learning the basics of humanity and wandering around the prison complex. It was during this time he discovered his invisibility power, which allowed him to explore even more. By the end of his childhood, he had mapped the entire prison complex and devised a huge strategy to escape. So overall, a childhood well spent. Alpharius was the only Primarch not to get scattered, so he was quite literally raised by the Emperor and Malcador, but mostly Malcador. Malcador taught Alpharius to be a master of subterfuge and infiltration. The extremely secretive nature of the Alpha Legion is mostly due to the teachings of Malcador. Alpharius was trained to be the Emperor's contingency plan, a hidden Primarch to use as an ace up their sleeve. Amigan, on the other hand, was scattered. His childhood is mostly a mystery, but it was very brutal, with Amigan fighting to survive against some pretty vicious Xenos. This is why Amigan had the impressive scaled armor and Xeno spear. He was a warrior, whereas Alpharius preferred unmarked basic power armor, as he was the subtle infiltrator. This shows that the Alpha Legion was likely originally a warrior legion with infiltration elements, Malcador's influence making it more about infiltration. In saying that, Alpha Legionnaires are great warriors, with them having squads purely dedicated towards straight up combat with zero stealth, so they haven't completely abandoned this original purpose. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel,
Shout out to Majorkill, man, for the video, man. Comment down. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't even see. Yo, let me just... Shout out to all you guys, man, for watching the video. Comment down below who was your favorite Primarch. And, yo, make sure you guys follow my Twitch down below, man. I'm going to start streaming soon. And other than that, I'm going to see you guys every time out. Peace out.